Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay, so gossip. Okay. So I was talking to a dad at one of the dance classes that I was at. And, well, actually...
I met one of your dads this weekend.
You did?
Yeah.
Who? Oh, I never met him.
7 feet tall.
What?
So tall.
Okay, so I was saying one of our children went to go meet someone else they had just met. And I'll remember what you said. He said, well, we just talked about other people. Now, the reason why that is so true, although I think boys do it less than girls do it, is that, welcome to the Tuesday podcast. Sorry about that. We're just doing a part 2 because we just finished off about cults and like talking about people and like gossiping about people.
And gossiping, but you know, it was so funny that when I asked him what they talked about, he didn't skip a beat. He's like, other people mostly, because he must have thought,
this is weird.
This isn't interesting. But so he's like, we talked about other people, but I love how he just said it. He
also didn't know that is like, right? That's
not
like,
he was like, we were gossiping. He's like,
no,
other people talking about other people.
Yeah.
What else are you talking about?
I know.
Mm-hmm.
So when we did an interview with a common parent, they said like, that is so normal. Like when kids game, it gives them something to talk about. TikTok gives them something, because we were also talking about how they want to, like how social media is so bad. But the thing is that's what they connect on, is because they don't have jobs. They either talk about teachers, they talk about their parents, I guess, or like there's not much they can talk about other than what's going on in their world. We talk about world events as gossip. Like we can be like, oh my God, but that's not relative to them. TikTok stars and the gossip and the thing, that's relative to them. Oh my God, did you hear this? So it's such a big ask when we're like about to change everything on them, of how we've wired them, especially when we made them go on computers for 2 years during COVID and they get back on the screen. And now we're like, it's so bad for you.
Yeah.
It's just really crazy that we have had this gossip of how do you train them to not talk badly about people.
So the other thing is like,
but that's all they can talk about.
That's all they can talk about. But yes, it's very true and it's very natural. But you know, as far as gossip goes, like, and you're like, not supposed to gossip, not supposed to say things about people.
I fully gossip this weekend.
I can
actually. Also, I lied. I lied. I like fully set my judgments on. You know.
But you know what? I can honestly say, upon thinking about it, and like, you can change small things about yourself, but I love knowing about other people's lives, and that can be considered gossip. My mom always told me not to be nosy. I love to know stuff, and I can't help it.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't help. And I can't help that.
Let's define gossip.
Okay.
Because I do feel like gossip is, in my opinion, with intent to hurt somebody else. That's what we could define gossip as. So like, if it's to, you have a friend and they're your good friend, and then you go to Barbara and you talk to Barbara about shit about so you're shit talking your friend, even though you're good friends. That's
bad, yeah.
Or like your friend's going through a really hard time and you're like, oh my God.
Did you hear?
Like,
because you want something to say. Often people that are gossiping don't have a lot going on and a lot of interesting things to say, so they want to tell someone else's story.
I know.
So that they're entertaining and people like to talk to them.
And it brings them closer together. Bad things bring people closer together. So
and some people gossip with the intent that it will get around. You know, they're not,
right.
They tell the thing and then they're not like, but don't tell anyone. Because even if you do, they might, but like, they're just spreading it like, hey, did you hear that? Now you know it's going to go. You know it's going to go. And so you're okay with it going.
I think there's listening to other people to hear their story, which is super interesting. Then it's taking it and knowing that information will hurt them, or they'll be really upset if, you know, someone else found out.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, that's not like, let's just say,
or you're spreading potential rumors that you don't factually know are true and saying them like they're true. That's when shit gets real bad.
Yeah.
Because then it gets back to them and they're like, none of this is actually true.
Yeah. I mean, there was a full rumor a long time ago that Mark and I were getting divorced, and one of his friends called him and was like, are you okay?
That's bad gossip.
Factual rumor. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? Like any of those things that can really hurt, or like a lie about someone.
Or speculating and then sending the speculation.
Yep. Or like when you, like if I tell you something about my husband.
Yeah.
And then you go and tell everyone, I'm like, that was fucking private info. Like I needed someone to talk to.
Yeah.
And you went and talked about it to everybody.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think. When you're curious about people's lives, I don't think that's as much gossip as it is. Like to me, that's just trying to learn, you're not going to go and like spread it, you know? So I think it's finding people that you trust that you can talk to without it becoming harmful or toxic and ruin a situation.
Yeah. And sometimes when I'm like with a group of people like that I haven't talked to in a while, I know that they have like new information that I'd probably find out in like 6 months to a year. So I'm like, give it to me now. I want to know. I know you know stuff. Tell me the stuff so I know, but I don't have to be the last to find out the stuff.
I think also we like crave to know because we want to know how, the why, and if it could happen to us. Like I truly, you know, I'm taking the psychology course, and it's based on like the way we think and why we think how we think, and how we're so drawn to hazards, fires, trauma, devastation. And like when there's a car accident, the fact that everybody wants, it's like you can't not look. It's like a train wreck. Shitty reality TV, like where you get, like they're basically equated to like you are watching train wrecks on TV and you want to keep watching for your own entertainment. And why we do that is it's kind of biologically, it's interesting for our brains wired to think that there's trauma and terrible things out there, because why the fuck would we be drawn to that? Why would we want to know? Why is murder mystery number one? That's fucked up shit.
Yeah, I was thinking also sometimes I watch things that are bad because it makes me feel better, because I'm like, well, if it's not like that, it's a lot better. Like I'm a lot better than that. So that makes me feel, instead of making me feel bad, it makes me feel like you're doing all right, because like I'm not arguing with my girlfriends like the housewives. You know what I mean? I'm not getting in fights all the time. So I kind of feel like a good, when I watch the housewives, I often feel like a good person. Even more, because I can't believe that people can be so mean.
For me, I'm just like, why? Like I watch, like the housewife, like actually when they fight, I tune out. I'm like, oh my God, it's so boring. Because usually it's like over nothing. And like usually it's like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm like, are you fucking, I'm
people
like,
are you? That is a cult following. The housewives. People are obsessed.
Which I don't have, again. And I do know that people like to see like the drama and the negativity and the hatred. And I just fuck, but I always want to know the why. Like why did he cheat? Why did she, like, why did he kill her? Why that
that's
person?
What's so great about like crimes and stuff like that, is that if you're watching the right ones, it's not like you're hearing the news story. You get to go back.
So there's always a reason.
There's not always, like that fucking kid that was on mushrooms and stabbed that lady. That's
but he was on mushrooms.
He was on mushrooms, maybe. But what I want to know,
he never did it again.
Nope. Never did it again. So, but I also want to know, like, even with that story, I need more. I need to go back more. I need to know the parents. I need to know more. But some of them really give it to you. So-and-so was born on July 16th, 1942. He was born to these parents. And then you see it. Those are the best.
That's where, so it's this new psychology course. And they're basically saying how old, this is just like, I'm in like 3 chapters in, okay? So there's like, I'm not saying that this is the right way or any way. It's just interesting that basically they're saying that therapy and kind of psychiatry is so archaic. And we go based on trauma, and that we need to fix something. Like something's a problem based on our childhood and like our past traumas, and like, let's go back and relive all the traumas. And they're like, that's so like, that's just reliving everything until this point. So it's like, you need to live there so that you can be okay here. They're like, what if we flipped the psychology and we went into being like, we don't have to live in trauma anymore, because back when, like in the ice ages and all those bad, terrible ages, there was famine, there was constant death. You were constantly fearful of just surviving. Surviving was the hardest thing ever. They're like, that's not our reality anymore. Like, so let's start thinking about how we can live in abundance, because that's what we live in right now, is in abundance, and find the joy and the positivity in what we're in, because we're looking for trauma so we can validate where we're at, so we can feel okay mentally. Because if we're only using this part of our brains and we know there's so much more in there, we should be able to evolve to be living in a place where we're like, open the door and be like, they call it like the bad weather syndrome.
Yeah.
Like we open the door and we're like, oh, it's sunny out, but a storm's coming.
Mhm.
Like, so I'm not going to go. It's like basically we live in this era where we think something terrible is always going to happen, and we feel better when something is or does.
Well, and it's also like that, like, this is like, that's the mind perspective. But then you've also got, like, imagine you have a disease and you don't, and then you're not going to take medicine. So you're going to live like the old days. Like, most people wouldn't do that. There are some people who don't accept medical treatment. There are some religions that don't, but it's crazy to think that you're not living when you don't need that, when you don't need to have it. You're living here now.
I know.
So use what's everyone done all this work for?
I think
if we're going to still
live like that.
Live like that.
It's sort of a little bit listen, it's good. I can't wait to see what happens, because you're talking about, like, the new way of psychology could help with, like, depression and anxiety. Like, it could help with so much.
Well, the fact that right now it's getting approved to have medically supervised psychedelics.
Yes.
I think that's so forward thinking, because it's not like you're going on the psychedelics and going through the journey of the past year, like your childhood and all. No, it's fixing where you are right now
to let it go.
And
A place that you don't know is there, but but what they're saying is you don't need a shaman to do it. You can actively start to do it without having to live that, like, a lot of people live backwards rather than living now. And so we're constantly held back by what was, not what is or what is forward.
And you hear so many people say, like, I'm like this because in theory it makes sense, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can change it. Like, this is you now. You can't change the past, but you can work with what you've got right here, you know?
Yeah. I'm excited to keep going, because listen, I'm not saying mental health isn't, like, a real thing. 100% it is. But it is interesting to see that someone he's one of the leaders in the whole space of this new positive psychology. And I'm so curious to see where they go with, like, they say this positive psychology builds resilience, builds, like, how you can build your life, like, everything. And if you can just get out of your fucking way. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, it's controversial, because a lot of people want to live behind. Like, you have to really want to move forward because you want to be angry for what happened or what was. But they're like, why? He was like, why can some people move on? So if some people move on, then almost everyone can move on, because we're not built for some and not others. Oh, it's so bad.
Some people, though, really feel comfortable.
That's what he's saying.
In knowing that they're blaming where they are for what has happened to them, and going through and, like, repeating that, like, I was in a lot of bad things happened to me, like, you know, and so I feeling comfortable just being in that negative place, because then it can excuse so many things.
We've also never been taught that's you're based on, like, the first 5 years of your life is based on how you will be for the rest of your life, right? Like, there's a lot of theories that teach us that based on how we were raised is how we will be. And that you can't change. But if we're only using a percentage of our brain, why can't we use more of it? And why can't we access more of it to change how we're doing? And my husband was kind of like, well, and I'm like, listen, our mouths have evolved. We don't need wisdom teeth anymore. They yanked them out of them. Our bodies have evolved. Our eyes, like, everything has evolved to fit this world now, except our brains are still living in the time of fight or flight. Our bodies, everything is living in a time of, like, you know, anxiety, they say, is from fight or flight, because you live in this place of, like, hyper arousal, because we haven't taught ourselves to be like, oh, back in the day, I'd run from a fucking saber-toothed tiger. Now I'm just thinking bad things, so I'm creating it. And he was like, okay, I see that point. So I'm like, if we can evolve we can get cars, and we can do fucking everything, but we can't think that we can move forward in our brains. That's, what the fuck? That's crazy. And if you can if you can think it, and if you can actually open your mind to it, but you're right, a lot of people want to open their minds to it. It's just like people want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to actually think that it could change, but then he goes on to say, you're comfortable because that's how you lived. So you're not evolving. So that's why, because you're just defaulting, because that's how you were wired when it started. I'd love to meet myself as a saber-toothed tigers were around.
Do people live around saber-toothed tigers?
Yeah.
Where do saber-toothed tigers live?
When did they?
Like, where? Like, in the towns where you live? There was no saber-toothed tigers in Toronto.
I don't think Toronto was here.
Or whatever this land was.
saber-tooth tigers
Well, saber-tooth tigers do still exist.
and people. They do.
I think saber-tooth tiger is a real thing.
No. Saber-tooth cats may have coexisted with modern humans. No, they're no longer.
What is a saber-tooth tiger?
The saber-tooth tiger.
I've never even
You know what this
thought about a
podcast is
saber-tooth
called?
Tiger.
History with Cat and Nat. It's all, we have no idea what we're talking about. We just lie about shit.
Because it doesn't matter really. But I've never.
This is what they look like.
And what do they do?
Eat everything. They're a terrible human. They're terrible. They were really
They
scary.
would just eat humans?
They were the saber-toothed tigers were the size of a horse. No, remains of a saber-toothed tiger the size of a horse. They were massive.
Where'd they go?
They extincted.
Why?
Everything extincts.
So it's like a dinosaur.
The saber-toothed tiger lived alongside early humans and may have been a fearsome enemy. Several feline teeth and a chunk of arm bone were uncovered in a site in Germany known for the oldest discovery of human spears.
But we don't actually know that they existed.
I mean, yeah, they did. There was a group of early humans known for their simple projectile weapons. Humans would not have hunted the saber-toothed tiger, but they may have killed them for protection or sport. For fun, they killed them for something to do.
Back in the day, what did they kill them with?
They're tools they made to kill them.
And they were the size of a horse?
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't fight themselves off of these small humans? Because humans were even smaller back then. We got bigger.
They have things to kill them. Yeah. Natalie, I'm telling you.
I can't believe humans killed saber-toothed tigers without guns.
How long ago did humans have to worry about saber-toothed tigers? Scientists long believe that the saber-toothed tiger, if you will, when extincting Europe approximately 300... There's still saber-toothed tigers.
If I had been writing a test right now and they were like, where do saber-toothed tigers live? I'd be like, Africa?
300,000 years ago. What year was that? You tell me.
I don't think that anybody really knows.
Go ahead. Tell me.
300,000 years ago.
Yeah, tell me. You tell me.
Can I have a second?
Mm-hmm. You know what? Natalie and Hassan were mind-fucking me. They were trying to tell me.
Shh.
Okay.
I guess like 200,000 AD.
So you're telling me we've been around for 100,000 years?
No, just 1,000.
What? No. Then how the fuck are we in 2023?
Sorry, it would be 300,000 minus
2,000?
Yeah, 20,000.
20?
298,000 AD.
Ma'am?
BC.
We're in 2023.
Yeah.
How long have these 20s and 19s been around for?
2,000 years. 2,023 years.
Only 2,023 years?
Yeah.
Not 200,000?
No.
So you're telling me there was a year one?
Yeah.
There wasn't a year 1900. So year one, and then year two, year three, you're telling me they've been counting for that long?
1 AD.
So we're in 2023 AD?
Yes. What is it? Before Christ and after Christ? AC? Is AC in it? Now I can't even think. Not BC, the other one.
What?
After Christ. AC. No, after death. AD.
What if you don't believe in Christ?
The world is based on Christ.
What?
That's what they give. That's about the years. Yeah, it's all about before Christ and after Christ. Maybe humans have only lived for 2,000 years.
Just stop it. 200,000 or 2 years? 2,000 years.
2,000.
You're telling me people have only been here for 2,000 years?
I think so.
2,000 years. Doesn't feel
I
like,
think so.
It doesn't.
No, 20,000.
What?
No, 2,000. 2,000. 2,000.
20 or 2?
2. No, 2,000 years. 2,000 years. AC.
So you're telling me someone started year one.
Yes.
Long time ago.
When Christ died.
So we've been here for 2,023 years only.
I think so. So saber-toothed tigers were here 298,000 years ago.
And they think they found them still. This is all a lie. This feels like a big lie.
It is.
But I do.
Hello.
Let's take a quick break. I don't know.
It's definitely not.
You don't know how long we've been here for.
Can you ask how long humans have been around?
I'm going to call my husband. He gets so mad at me. Listen.
How many years have humans been alive?
I'm going to ask him.
How many years ago was the first human born? Okay.
Hi, babe. You're on a podcast. Nat and I have a quick question for you.
Oh, boy.
No, it's not Sex Friday. It's Tuesday. It's history with Kat and Nat. Okay, quick question for you.
Just ask it simply.
Okay, I'm going to.
Just the way we reversed
If
it.
it's 2000...
No, that's not the question.
If it's 20...
No. How many years have humans lived?
That's what you're calling me to ask me?
Yeah,
Yes.
do you know the answer?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay,
Around.
If it's 2023, is it 20,000 years we've been around, or who started counting at 1?
Yeah.
Are we?
Did you say 2023 being 2023 was 20,000?
Well, 2023.
Was that how you were doing your math there?
Yes, 20.
So the years have only been around for 2023 years, right? Was before that before Christ?
People listen to this?
Babe, just answer the question. How long have we been counting years for? Did we start at year 1?
Well, that's what they did.
Year 1.
She wanted to know if
years
this.
ago, but that's not when humans first existed.
No. When they started counting the years, was that year 1?
Are we on an Adam and Eve discussion here?
Nope,
Are we
just
on,
your-
evolution.
when-
Switch theory?
When they started celebrating
Hasn't it been hundreds of thousands of years?
Yeah, but babe, when they started celebrating New Year's, was it year 1? Good question, Kat.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I've studied a lot of things in my life. I've wasted a lot of brain space on things in my life. I haven't done it on that.
Oh, you don't know. Good, thank you. But have we been counting years for 20,000 years or 2,000 years? That's the next question.
Well, it was the year 20,023. That it's been 20,000 years.
2023.
We call it 2023, everybody.
Well, that's like saying
What does that?
that's like saying
You are not
it's
serious.
$1,223. That's not $20,000.
Okay, thank you, babe.
No, you just explained a lot for how our banking works.
Okay, bye. Thank you. And do you believe in saber-toothed tigers?
Do I believe in saber-toothed tigers?
Yes.
Is it, they existed at some point? Sure.
Yeah. Did you know they were size of a horse?
What part?
Goodbye, babe. I love you. Talk to you later. Thank you for the conversation. That was great information. Do you believe in the Ice Age, too? Do you believe in the Ice Age?
Is this in the subscription model or is this one going out for free?
Goodbye.
Oh, Mark,
Yes.
how do we know what color dinosaurs were?
Good one.
How do we know what color dinosaurs were?
Yeah.
The books.
What do you think, I'm Ross from Friends?
Paleontologists.
Colored, how they know?
I mean, how would you get? They just guessed. They were all green and black. You know what? They were colorblind, so they just didn't know. We just got color vision recently.
They dug them up from dirt and that's what color they were. Brown and green in the ground.
No, they're
I have
just
no
bones.
idea.
There's no skin left.
There's no skin left. Yeah, like they made it up. You know what? They could be purple. We have no idea. All right, babe. And last one. Do you think fire dragons are real?
Fire-breathing dragons.
Fire-breathing dragons. Were they real?
Oh, for sure, gotta be.
I'm gonna look. Okay, love you.
You guys just hit record and start talking.
Yep, fire-breathing dragons.
That reminds me of a saber-toothed tiger.
Are they real? Were they ever real?
Okay, they're not real.
Were they ever?
No.
You don't know that?
Yes, I do.
Yes, they were.
No, they weren't. Only in books.
The myth of the dragon was inspired by the natural world. Figure that one out. Bye. Love you, babe.
What's the natural world? Is that our world?
Yep, that is it. We live in the natural world.
Starting with one.
It's
Once again, I'm walking through my office and people are just looking at me wondering what the fuck I'm talking about.
you're talking to the most. You know what? This is called philosophy with Kat and Nat. You know, people don't talk about this stuff.
Philosophy.
Yeah, this is philosophy. We're
It's actually
philosophizing.
it's called The Evolved World with Cat and Nat.
We're evolving as people. You're welcome.
It's not much evolved in your world.
Bye, babe. Bye. Bye. Oh God. Well,
Okay, that's kind of crazy because that should just be like a normal thing that we know. People don't even think about it.
exactly.
So they're like, it's January 1st, 1.
Exactly.
It's January 1st, 2.
Yeah.
Only
3,
2,000 years
4,
ago.
5, and they could have counted wrong.
So also,
we could be in 2020, 2040
and
right
also, what was before 1? I know they say before Christ, but
now. I'm not interested in that.
what?
I'm not interested in before.
But like, what did they call it?
I'd like
And what
to
year
see-
did it end?
I'd
How
like-
many before Christ?
I
When
would
is
like-
this one done?
I'd like to know when New Year started being celebrated. That's what I want to know.
1.
I don't. Did they have a New Year's party?
20.
They're like, let's start counting January 1. Throw some
I guess they were
champagne,
just born.
and they started counting.
Yeah, I guess.
Fuck.
But you know BC, before Christ, you know how they say that? How many years were those?
Just
And when does this
You're
one
asking
end?
me.
When do you think this ends?
This ends December 31st, 2023.
Don't give me over.
No, then we go to 2024.
Yeah, but when does this end and we go back to zero?
Oh, never.
Like how they did.
Nah. When the aliens take over.
Yeah, because that's what happened when they started at 2,000 years ago. Because they're saying we've been around.
No, I think they like woke up like, fuck, we need a calendar. they were moms. I can't keep the shit together. I need a calendar. God. Jimmy wants sex on this day. Dick bag it was for sex. They were like, we need a calendar for sex because, honest to God, I have a...
So what is when they just started counting?
It was all on an ovulation calendar. They were like, we have to start knowing when we're going to get our period. Let's do this. So then they could have sex during certain times. And they had sex with lots of people. There was no relationships back then. Nope. Just everyone had sex.
When? At 1?
No, like you could just sleep with whoever you
But
wanted.
at 1?
What?
Year 1?
Yes, at year 1. For sure, at year 1. That's how, there's so many, everyone.
How the hell did we end up like this?
Because people thought this is getting too much.
I don't know whose baby comes from who.
Shut her down. You know what? A man got into power and thought, I can't get an ugly man. No, sorry, that's rude. A man.
They were for sure ugly back then.
A man.
Yeah. He's ugly for sure back then.
Okay, but he's
half.
Actually, you know what? No personality. He is, no, he's not impressive. He's actually terrible.
And he's not all human because he's probably evolved from a dinosaur.
This is enough.
Yep.
Women.
Yep.
Sit down.
Yep.
You're with me. I want only, and he could only get one.
Why the fuck did the women listen? He was
Because
stronger. Men were built stronger.
He had so much papaya. Yeah, like fruit, vegetables. He was rich in
fruit.
In
farmland.
Horticulture. So she was like, fine.
I want your papaya.
I want your papaya.
And she was like, I want your papaya. And he got lots of wives.
Yeah. Because they all wanted you'll have as much papaya as you want. So then I
would love to be one of many.
Yeah, no. And then they're like, then the men with too much papaya were like, settle down, everybody. So they did. And then that's how it happened.
I wonder when heterosexuality became so famous or popular.
Yeah, when Christ decided to become before Christ, after Christ. Sorry, we're going to get canceled for that. We'll take that out. When they decided.
Like when did they, I guess because they needed to make babies.
Oh, yeah, when one came in too.
At one.
Before one, fucking swinging.
Yeah, at one, men and women were supposed to get together and make babies.
Now, they just were fucking everywhere. Fucking in trees. Fucking everywhere. It was just a free-for-all. They were all naked. Let's have sex.
And no clothes.
Fuck it. No, they didn't.
No, 2,000 years ago, no. Were they cold?
Yeah.
It was hotter back then. The Ice Age made it cold.
They were hairy too.
Maybe one was after the Ice Age.
Okay. Well, you're welcome for this podcast.